Hey y'all, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Gyan Dive. I am super excited today because we're going to be kicking off a brand new series called, if you follow me on Instagram, the Gyan Dive, you have probably seen um me talking about this where I was going to talk about Hindu rituals that we grew up doing and the reason behind them, like the scientific explanation if there is one to it. So the series is going to be called Why We Do or why we actually do this. Where I'm gonna dive into different rituals that we grew up doing and do some research on the scientific explanation behind these rituals, if there are any. Because I know that we've been doing these rituals for a really long time, but sometimes we don't even know why we're doing them. And I'm sure we've all been like curious about it, especially people in my generation. And then we ask our parents, but then they don't even know why we do them. So here is the actual research behind why we do specific things. And you guys can DM me any like questions you guys have because we're going to be doing like a multiple part series. So let me know if you have any questions or like any insights into like why we do specific things. So I am excited to dive into this episode. So, in today's episode, we're going to go into some common questions that we've all dealt with. They're super basic, like, let me ask you, can you answer these? Why do we ring the bell when we enter the temple? Why do we fold our hands and say namaste? Why um why do we have the seven pheras when we get married? Like the seven pheras that we take around the fire, why? Why do we do them? Um why do we chant Om out loud instead of just thinking of it in our heads? Do you guys know any of that? Well, today we'll change it and you will hopefully be able to take this along with you and be able to share it with other people as well. And hopefully this makes for a really engaging like family dinner conversation or just like talking to your friends about it and be like, "Hey, like this is what I found out about this ritual that I had no idea about. Did you know about it?" You know? So I hope this kind of like triggers that spreading of knowledge that I think is so essential because we don't know half the stuff that we do in Hinduism. And each of them have very scientific, like intentional meanings behind them that I think it's about time we know. So let's dive into it. So let's get into the very first one, ringing the bell before you enter the temple. Did you know that the bell you ring before entering a temple is doing something to your brain that people now pay for in sound bath classes? So here's what's actually happening. Temple bells are cast from panchadhatu, which is a specific mix of 5 or 7 metals like copper, zinc, tin, iron, silver, and even sometimes gold. That mix doesn't make one flat note. It makes this layered ringing sound that keeps going on for seconds after you strike it. And that sound does something real. There's a documented thing called a startle response. A sudden sharp sound interrupts whatever loop your mind was stuck in. You felt this, a smoke alarm, a drop pan, and for a second your thoughts just stop. And that's the whole point of this bell. The bell's long resonance stretches that reset window out even further, and it lines up with real research on gongs and singing bowls showing shifts towards calmer brainwave states. So next time you ring that bell, you're not just announcing yourself to God, you're resetting your own mind on purpose so that you can focus on God after. It's so smart, right? Centuries before sound healing was a wellness trend. That's the bell. One ring and your brain is already somewhere different it was a second ago. And here's something worth sitting with for a second. This wasn't accidental. Do you did you know? This is a good fun fact by the way. The specific metal ratios in Panchadhatu weren't picked randomly by whoever happened to be casting bells that week. They were refined and passed down generation after generation, specifically because certain alloys produced a fuller and long lasting tone than others. That's centuries of trial and error, essentially functioning as acoustic engineering, long before anyone had the vocabulary of frequency or resonance or any of that to describe what they were doing. They just knew it worked and they kept doing it. This just goes to show how scientifically advanced our religion really is, that we had no idea it was, that we just dismiss as like, oh, we just do it to do it. Like, I don't know why we're striking this bell. Well, now you know. Now you know, and you can tell the people around you why you do that. Spread the word, guys. On to the next one, and this is a really popular one, fasting. And it's perfect timing because if you guys know, I don't know if you know, but it's Shravan Mahina right now in Gujarati, or like Shravan Mahina, which means, I mean, which is our holy month in Hinduism, where a lot of people fast, right? Like my parents personally do like Ikwai, which is like eating food once during Shravan. A lot of people do it because it's considered the holy month. Um, and we have fasting a lot in our religion, even besides Shravan. Like, we have Ekadashi, if you know, you know, which is twice a month. Weekday fasts, there's so many for like different gods. Monday for Lord Shiva, Tuesday for Hanuman, Navratri twice a year, Karva Chauth, Shivratri. It shows up so often in the calendar, and we never stop to question why. Well, well. We were biohacking before biohacking was cool. A full Ekadashi fast comes out to roughly 36 hours, and that's exactly the window where something called a autophagy kicks in. Autophagy is your cells doing spring cleaning, cleaning out damaged proteins so healthier ones can take over. It's one of the most studied areas in modern metabolic science right now, and Hindu tradition built it into the calendar twice a month for centuries, tied to the moon long before anyone downloaded a fasting app. And here's a detail I love. Did you know? I didn't know this before this, but the day right after Dwadashi has specific foods prescribed to break the fast with. Amla, a leafy green called agati karai. Not fast and eat whatever you want. A structured, intentional way back in, which is literally what modern fasting guides tell you to do today. This was never framed as punishment or restriction the way a lot of diet culture frames food rules. It was a rhythm, something you return to, tied to meaning, not just a generic detox with no story behind it. And I think that distinction actually matters more than it sounds like. A lot of modern fasting advice treats it purely individual, purely physical optimization tool, something you do alone, tracking it on an app, chasing a number. Ekadashi was never a solo activity. The other thing that made it so special is that you would do it with other people in your family. Like, people would fast together. There would be like special events at temples that they did, and it was communal more than personal. You weren't just giving your body a break, you were participating in something your whole family and community was doing at the same time. That's a very different experience than fasting alone with a tracking app on your phone. Let's go into ritual 3, which is namaste instead of a handshake. Third one, and this is genuinely my favorite because the science on this one is rock solid. So, did you know Namaste got officially recommended by public health researchers during COVID? There's an actual peer reviewed paper published in a journal called Influenza and Other Respiratory Viruses, literally titled COVID-19 and Namaste. It argues handshakes, fist bumps, hugs all spread pathogens hand to hand, and Namaste does the exact same social job, acknowledging someone, giving someone respect, with zero contact risk. Germ theory wasn't even formalized until the 1800s. Namaste originated and existed long before that, built on respect and equality, not hygiene. But it turned out to be structurally perfect for a problem science wouldn't understand for centuries. We didn't need elbow bumps in 2020. We already had the answer. Namaste wasn't designed as disease prevention, obviously. It just happened to already be the solution sitting there the whole time. There's something almost humbling about that, honestly. We tend to assume ancient means less informed and modern means we finally figured it out. But here's a 2020 global health crisis, and part of the answer to it had been quietly practiced in Indian households for thousands of years on end, waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. It's not that anyone in Vedic times understood virology. It's just that a value system, treat everyone equally, doesn't require physical contact to show respect, happened to also be the epidemiological smart choice, centuries before anyone could explain why. We have ritual 4 now, chanting Om or mantras repeatedly. This has to be the strongest science of all 5. Why do we chant Om out loud instead of just thinking it in our heads? Have you ever wondered why? Here is the actual answer. In 2011, researchers put people in an fMRI scanner and had them chant Om out loud, then compared it directly to a control sound. The result? Chanting Om significantly deactivated the amygdala and the hippocampus, the brain's fear centers. And here's why that's wild. Those exact same regions are the target of vagus nerve stimulation, a real FDA cleared medical treatment for depression and epilepsy. The theory is that the vibration you feel around your ears when you chant Om out loud is literally stimulating the same nerve branch that clinically VNS devices target. A 2022 follow up study measured heart rate variability, a real marker of nerve activity, and it spikes after Om chanting, more in experienced practitioners. Silent thought can't do that. The vibration itself is doing something mechanical that thinking could never. Sound vibration, a specific nerve, and a real medical treatment that targets the same one, that's not ancient wisdom. Modern science agrees. That's direct, provable overlap. And it makes me think about how much this tradition treats the body itself as an instrument and not just a vessel for belief. You're not just praying with Om, you're using your own throat and chest as a resonating chamber on purpose repeatedly, the same way you'd use an instrument. The Upanishads describe Om as the sound of ultimate reality, isn't just poetry. It's pointing at something you can literally feel happening in your body every time you chant it out loud. Try it. Go home and try chanting Om like 3 times with like breathing synchronized. Like take a deep breath in, go Om, and then go again, and you'll feel it. You'll feel the difference. Now let's get into ritual 5, the 7 pheras. Last one, a quick challenge to anyone, married or unmarried, because I know we've attended like a dozen Hindu weddings and people have attended their own marriages, but can you name 3 of the 7 vows from the 7 pheras? Most people who've been to dozens of Hindu weddings, even people who've had their own wedding, genuinely can't, which is crazy, right? Saptapadi means 7 steps, and a Hindu marriage isn't considered complete until the couple takes these 7 rounds across around the sacred fire. Agni as their divine witness. Agni or fire has been considered divine witness in many ways, like when we light a diya, it's the ultimate witness to any promises. So each step is a specific promise: household, strength, prosperity, joy, family, a long life together, eternal friendship. Comment below how many did you get right. Well, this was good for me to know, although I have not been, or I don't know the meaning. I haven't been married, but it's good to know that these are vows that we have. Like, people want to have like a vow ceremony these days for their own wedding, like copying Western rituals, but guess what? We already have one. We already have one. We just didn't know why. What gets what gets me about this list is how complete it is. It's not just I'll love you, it's household, strength, prosperity, joy, family, longevity, friendship, built in that order. Like the marriage itself is being constructed, one little step at a time, in front of fire, in front of family, in front of God. A promise made in front of something bigger than just the two of you carries more weight. That's not a Hindu specific idea. That's a pretty universal human one. I actually think this is one of the more underrated parts of a Hindu wedding, precisely because it happens fast. The couple is just circling the fire, guests are watching, photos are being taken. It's easy for the actual content of the vows to get lost in the spectacle of the moment. But if you slow down and actually translate what's being promised step by step, it holds up remarkably well against however you define a complete marriage today: financial partnership, physical and mental support, shared ambition, emotional connection, family values, a long life together, enduring friendship. That's not an outdated list, if anything. It sounds something a modern relationship therapist might hand you as a checklist. So, before you get married, y'all, go check out the Saptapadi. And nowadays, everything is available at your fingertips. Just go to like chat or go to Claude and go ask it about this. So, that was episode 1 of why we actually do this: Belfast, greeting, chant, and 7 steps around a fire. A sound that resets your mind before worship. a fasting rhythm that lines up with modern autophagy research, built into calendars centuries before biohacking was a word. A greeting that was way ahead of its time on disease prevention, decades before germ theory existed. A chant that simulates the real nerve pathway doctors use in actual clinical treatment. And 7 promises most of us walk through without ever learning what we were promising. None of it an exaggeration. The real versions are already this interesting. What I sincerely hope you take away from this isn't just 5 fun facts to bring up at your next family dinner. Although, feel free to do that because it is a flex to know these things. It's more so the underlying pattern. So much of what gets dismissed as just tradition or just superstition turns out, when you actually go looking, to be carrying something real underneath it. Something, a mechanism science has only caught up to. Sometimes a depth of meaning that we stop paying attention to because it became routine. Either way, the why was always there. We just stopped asking. So, if there is a ritual you grew up with that we didn't cover today, comment it, DM it, send it however you want. I'm making this a real series and I want the next episode's topic to come straight from you guys. That's the whole point of this. So that's for the dive today. See you guys in the next one.